Did you know the Persian Empire, one of history's greatest civilizations, was built on secrets of power and betrayal that still echo today? Stick around to uncover the shocking rise and fall of an empire that shaped the world. Imagine an empire so vast, it stretched from the sands of Egypt to the mountains of India, uniting down scenes of cultures under one rule. The Persian Empire wasn't just a kingdom, it was a revolutionary force that redefined warfare, governance, and human connection. In this documentary, we'll journey through its entire history, from its humble beginnings to its dramatic collapse. You'll discover the genius of its kings, the battles that changed history, and the hidden flaws that brought it down. But here's the question: how did one man's vision create a superpower, and what caused it to crumble? Let's dive into the epic saga of the Persian Empire. The Persian Empire, known historically as the Achaemenid Empire, was one of the largest and most influential empires in human history, spanning over 5 million square kilometers at its peak. It was a marvel of organization, innovation, and ambition. To understand its story, we must travel back to the 6th century BC, to the rugged highlands of modern-day Iran, where a small tribe laid the foundation for a global superpower. The seeds of an empire. The rise of Cyrus the Greater story begins in Persis, a region in southwestern Iran, where the Achaemenid dynasty emerged around 559 BCE. The Persians were an Indo-Iranian people, originally nomadic, who settled in the fertile valleys of the Zagros Mountains. They were one of many tribes under the domination of the Medes, a powerful kingdom to the north. But everything changed with the rise of Cyrus I, later known as Cyrus the Great. Cyrus was no ordinary leader. Born around 600 BC, he was raised in a world of tribal rivalries and shifting alliances. According to legend, his grandfather, King Astyages of the Medes, feared a prophecy that Cyrus would overthrow him. To prevent this, Astyages ordered the infant Cyrus to be killed, but fate intervened. A shepherd raised Cyrus in secret, and the boy grew into a charismatic, brilliant strategist. By 559 BCE, Cyrus became king of the Persians. His first move was bold. He united the Persian tribes, forging a loyal army, but his ambition stretched beyond Persis. Around 550 BC, Cyrus turned against his Median overlords. In a series of swift campaigns, he defeated Astyages and captured the Median capital, Ecbatana. This victory was monumental. It gave Cyrus control of a vast kingdom and set the stage for his empire building. What made Cyrus extraordinary wasn't just his military prowess, but his vision for governance. Unlike other conquerors, he didn't crush his enemies. Instead, he integrated them. When he conquered the Medes, he spared Astyages and welcomed Median nobles into his administration. This policy of tolerance would define the Persian Empire, earning Cyrus a reputation as a benevolent ruler. The expansion, conquering Lydia and Babylon with the Medes under his control. Cyrus set his sights on new horizons. His next target was the wealthy kingdom of Lydia in modern-day Turkey, ruled by the fabulously rich King Croesus. Croesus, confident in his wealth and the prophecy of the Oracle of Delphi, attacked Cyrus around 546 BCE. The oracle had famously told Croesus that if he waged war, a great empire would fall. Croesus assumed this meant victory. He was wrong. Cyrus' army, though outnumbered, was disciplined and mobile, using innovative tactics, including the use of camels to spook Lydian cavalry. Cyrus defeated Croesus and captured the Lydian capital, Sardis. The great empire that fell was Lydia itself. This victory gave Cyrus access to Lydia's gold reserves and the Aegean coast, opening trade routes to the west. Next, Cyrus turned to Babylon, the jewel of Mesopotamia. In 539 BCE, he launched a campaign against King Nabonidus, whose unpopular rule had alienated his people. Cyrus' forces diverted the Euphrates River, allowing his army to march into Babylon without a siege. The city surrendered without a fight, and Cyrus entered as a liberator. He freed the Jewish captives in Babylon, earning praise in the Hebrew Bible, and preserved Babylonian culture. Temples at loss. By 530 BCE, Cyrus had built an empire stretching from Central Asia to the Mediterranean. His secret, a blend of military genius, diplomacy, and respect for local traditions. He allowed conquered peoples to keep their customs and religions, appointing local governors called satraps to administer provinces. This system of decentralized governance, coupled with a network of roads like the Royal Road, enabled efficient communication and control across vast distances. The reign of Cambyses and the Egyptian conquest Cyrus' death in 530 BCE, during a campaign against nomadic tribes in Central Asia, marked a turning point. His son, Cambyses II, inherited the throne. Unlike his father, Cambyses was impulsive and less diplomatic. His major achievement was the conquest of Egypt in 525 BCE, a campaign that showcased both his ambition and his flaws. Egypt, under Pharaoh Sontic III, was a formidable prize. Its wealth and strategic location made it a key target. Cambyses led a massive army across the Sinai Desert, supported by a navy of Phoenician and Greek ships. At the Battle of Pelusium, Persian forces overwhelmed the Egyptians, reportedly using cats as psychological weapons. Knowing the Egyptians revered them as sacred, Cambyses captured Memphis and declared himself pharaoh, adopting Egyptian titles to legitimize his rule. But Cambyses' reign was marked by controversy. Stories of his cruelty, such as desecrating temples or murdering his own siblings, spread. Though some may be Greek propaganda, his mental stability was questioned, and in 522 BCE, while returning from Egypt to quell a rebellion, Cambyses died under mysterious circumstances, possibly by assassination or suicide. The crisis of succession and Darius Cambyses' death plunged the empire into chaos. A usurper, claiming to be Cambyses' brother Bardia, seized the throne, but a young noble, Darius, challenged him. Darius, a distant relative of Cyrus, claimed the usurper was a Magian impostor named Galmaya. In 522 BCE, Darius and a group of nobles assassinated the pretender and declared Darius king. This coup, detailed in Darius' famous beast and inscription, was a masterstroke of propaganda, legitimizing his rule. Darius I, known as Darius the Great, was a visionary administrator. He faced immediate rebellions across the empire, from Babylon to Media, but crushed them with ruthless efficiency. By 520 BCE, he had stabilized the empire and embarked on ambitious reforms. He standardized weights, measures, and coinage, introducing the gold derrick, which boosted trade. He expanded the Royal Road, built a canal linking the Nile to the Red Sea, and constructed a grand capital at Persepolis, a symbol of Persian glory. The Greco-Persian Wars, a clash of civilizations. Darius' reign also marked the empire's first major clash with the Greeks. In 499 BCE, Greek city-states in Ionia, under Persian rule, were revolted, supported by Athens. The Ionians burned the Persian city of Sardis, provoking Darius' wrath. He vowed to punish the Greeks, launching the First Greco-Persian War. In 492 BCE, his initial campaigns failed, culminating in the Persian defeat at the Battle of Marathon. In 490 BCE, where Athenian hoplites repelled a larger Persian force, Darius' son, Xerxes I, continued the fight. In 480 BCE, he launched the Second Greco-Persian War, leading a massive army across the Hellespont on a bridge of boats. The invasion was a spectacle of ambition, and estimated to 100,000 troops, supported by a vast navy, aimed to crush Greece. The Persians won early victories, including the legendary stand at Thermopylae, where 300 Spartans delayed Xerxes' army. Athens was sacked, but the Greek navy turned the tide at the Battle of Salamis, destroying much of Xerxes' fleet. In 479 BCE, the Greeks defeated the Persians at Plataea, ending the invasion. These wars, while a setback, didn't cripple the empire. They revealed its strength, logistical brilliance, and vast resource, but also its limits. The Greeks, decentralized, fiercely independent city-states, proved harder to subdue than anticipated. The empire's golden age and internal struggles under Xerxes and his successors. The Persian Empire entered a golden age of culture and prosperity. Persepolis became a hub of art, with intricate reliefs depicting tribute bearers from across the empire. The Persians patronized Zoroastrianism, a monotheistic faith emphasizing truth and order. though they tolerated other religions. That empire's diversity encompassing Egyptians, Indians, Greeks, and Moros is strength, but also a source of tension. Succession crises plagued the later Achaemenid kings. Artaxerxes I, Xerxes' son, faced rebellions and relied on diplomacy to secure peace with Greece in 449 BCE. His successors, like Darius II and Artaxerxes II, dealt with internal revolts and external threats, including from Egypt, which regained independence in 404 BCE. The empire's vast size made it hard to govern, and satraps often acted like independent kings. Introduce a problem divided by challenge. The seeds of decline by the 4th century BCE. The Persian Empire faced a growing problem: its own success. The very factors that made it great, its size, diversity, and decentralized governance, became liabilities. Satraps grew too powerful, plotting rebellions. Corruption crept into the court, and kings like Artaxerxes II, who briefly reconquered Egypt in 343 BCE, relied on harsh measures to maintain control. Meanwhile, a new power was rising in the west, Macedon, led by an ambitious young king named Philip II and his son, Alexander. The empire's military, once invincible, struggled to adapt. Its reliance on large, diverse armies made coordination difficult. The Persian navy, weakened after Salamis, couldn't match emerging threats. Worst of all, the Achaemenid kings underestimated the Macedonians, dismissing them as barbarians from a backwater kingdom. This arrogance would prove fatal. Exploration divided by development. The Macedonian threat in 336 BCE. Philip II of Macedon planned an invasion of Persia but was assassinated. His 20-year-old son, Alexander, took up the cause. Alexander was no ordinary foe. A student of Aristotle, he combined intellectual brilliance with unmatched military skill. In 334 BCE, he launched his campaign, crossing into Asia Minor, with a disciplined army of 35,000 men, far smaller than Persia's forces but highly trained. Darius III, the last Achaemenid king, faced Alexander with confidence. At the Battle of Issus in 333 BCE, Darius led a massive army, but Alexander's phalanx and cavalry outmaneuvered him. Darius fled, leaving his family in Alexander's hands. The Persian king tried to negotiate, offering vast territories, but Alexander refused. He wanted the entire empire. In 331 BCE, the two met again at Galgamela, a flat plain in modern-day Iraq. Darius chose the battlefield to maximize his numerical advantage, preparing chariots and more elephants. But Alexander's tactics feigning to the right, then striking the Persian center, shattered Darius' lines. Darius fled again, and his empire began to unravel. City after city fell to Alexander, including Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, which was burned in 330 BCE, possibly as revenge for the sack of Athens. Climax divided by key moment. The fall of the Achaemenid Empire. Fall of Persepolis was the empire's death knell. Darius III, now a fugitive, was betrayed and murdered by his own satrap, Bessus, in 330 BCE. With no legitimate king, the Achaemenid dynasty collapsed. Alexander declared himself king of Asia, adopting Persian customs to legitimize his rule. The Persian Empire, which had stood for over 2 centuries, was no more. The climax of this story isn't just the destruction of an empire, but the betrayal of its heart. Darius II's failure to unite his satraps, coupled with their disloyalty, handed Alexander victory. The empire's vastness, once its strength, became its fatal flaw. As loyalty to the king eroded under pressure, the Persian Empire's story is one of triumph and tragedy. From Cyrus the Great's vision of a tolerant, interconnected world to Darius II's desperate flight, it was a saga of ambition, innovation, and hubris. The Achaemenids created the first true superpower, uniting diverse peoples under a single banner. Their roads, coinage, and governance inspired empires for centuries, from Rome to the Ottomans. Yet their reliance on loyalty and decentralization sowed the seeds of their downfall. What made the Persian Empire remarkable wasn't just its size but its humanity. Cyrus' policy of tolerance, Darius' administrative genius, and even Xerxes' audacious bridge across the Hellespont showed a civilization striving for greatness. But empires, like men, are mortal. Eternal strife, overextension, and the rise of Alexander exposed its vulnerabilities. Today, the legacy of the Persian Empire lives on in Iran's cultural heritage, in the ruins of Persepolis, and in the ideas of governance and tolerance that shaped the ancient world. It reminds us that even the mightiest empires can fall when they lose sight of unity and adaptability. Want to explore another epic empire that changed history? Click the video on your screen to dive into the rise and fall of Rome. Don't miss it.